another thing that we wanted to talk about when it comes to the recap of the Hacking for Science lecture this year, 2025, is how would you say that AI has changed the course, changed the way that you teach the course? Any notable mentions?
Oh wow, okay. Obviously, that's the elephant in the room. I mean, AI usage not only for students but also for myself, like how I use it to prepare the course, has obviously increased in recent years,
Yeah.
and yeah, it has huge impact on the course, but not like the typical thing. Okay, um, I need to make sure people don't use their AI to make create their homework exams and stuff like this. This is not like the typical problem. I would say um, the impact or the way how it's changed is that it got much more integrated. You have it in your VS Code environment now. You have it everywhere. AI integration got much better, but also the way it's not the early adopters only anymore that use
Mm.
it. So a lot of people use it all the time. And what I think is really the key to the course is I tell people what I learned in 5 years, like DevOps, programming wise, programming with data wise, they can learn in 2 years, right? And that's massive. Like
Mm.
how they can speed up learning, how they can use it as like the teaching assistant, at that patient companion that's always ready to go down another rabbit hole. Like, okay, this line of code, like this block, I don't understand that. Explain it to me. Like, you can have like this critical discussion with, but you got to keep doing that, right?
Mhm.
With that companion, use that companion the right way, like to dig deeper, to go for another round whenever you're ready.
Mhm. I think this teaching assistant analogy is a really important one because I'm sure you're right. Because on the one hand, although it's a very patient companion that answers any question and no question is too stupid to answer, um, it's important to say that it's a teaching assistant, not the professor, for example, which basically means that not everything that your teaching assistant will say is completely right. Of course, most of the things are right or are useful, but it's not 100% correct all the time. So I think you have to take, I guess, your answers that you're getting with a grain of salt. And moreover, I think it's important to not rely too heavily on your teaching assistant in a way.
Mm.
Because if you always have someone that's ready to answer a question for you, I think the temptation is large that
Mm.
you're just gonna stop
Yeah,
thinking
not think
constantly.
yourself. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I agree that you don't think yourself anymore.
Mm.
Like they say, brain activity gets lower and so on. That's right. I mean, totally. If you like, if you think like back in high school, like you the guy, the person that forgot their homework. And realizes 20 minutes before the course that's the case, and then AI to the rescue. If you
Yeah.
use it like that, you going to abolish yourself,
Yeah.
and then you're
Your
not adding,
usefulness. Yeah.
yeah, you're not adding value anymore, right? Because you're just expensive, like copying, pasting. That's a step that integration, like I mentioned earlier, will
Solve.
do its part, will solve, like will you abolishing yourself there. So definitely that's not something you could do. And I'm not the only one saying this, and it's not like just evidence from Hacking for Science or my personal teaching experience. Is also like our labor market colleagues at Kof Michael and Jeremias. They publish this paper where they really find impact on the Swiss labor market already. And what they do is like they compare sectors that have a lot of AI exposure, and then others that don't, and they see that since the since the AI models came up, um, there is tension on the labor market, particularly for those where there is AI exposure.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is also the young people that are hit the hardest because they have textbook knowledge that's easily replaced by AI, but they lack the experience given their younger age and also like the personal network
Mm.
and all of that stuff. So this is basically what I'm saying is when you use AI like consciously and the right way, like okay, use it to learn faster, then you are fighting this development. You're saying, okay, because the knowledge that we have is more condensed now. Like when you compare it, like before you were going to the library, then the internet came up, research was getting faster, you could like research faster because you don't have to travel to another library and so on, so you could learn faster. Now it's at your fingertips. Research is easier with those tools. You can do those companion teaching assistant type of challenges, but you gotta like challenge AI. It comes up with an answer, you think, hey, maybe this is wrong, you know, and then everybody has experiences. They will say, great question, good catch. Like all those models do that, and you do that until you have an answer that makes sense, or where the reasoning makes sense to you, not only the tool.
Yes.
And then you're learning, and then you're staying in a mix.
But I think this is a really important point that you're raising, which is that, you know, AI models, because they're not always truthful, they will give you an answer, and only if you really have enough of an understanding about the subject yourself can you be critical enough to actually question the answers that you're getting. Because this, oh, great comeback, or great thing that you've said, this only happens when you actually know a little bit about the subject. That's why it's a bit more dangerous to use AI in situations when you don't know anything at all. And I think that's also maybe an important thing that I want to say here, is that for someone like you, Matthias, who's learned programming and who has done this for 20 years now, you know, AI is not as big of a threat because you actually know your stuff, right? For a young person in my age or even younger who's learning a programming language for the first time, or a thing for the first time, it's so much more difficult to be critical of the answers you're getting because you don't know. But I think an important thing in using AI in a good way is by being critical, staying critical. So I think that's why it's important that when you're getting an answer, you're critical, or you at least ask them to explain. Ask this to be explained more to you. Use it like a TA. And one more thing, I think from especially a student's perspective, one thing also, because you said that in the COF labor market studies, it said that especially young people are more affected by in AI industries or AI affected industries, but also young people in general. I think it's important to use it as a TA, like you said, but to be critical. And one way that I try to do that myself, or I feel like it's most useful, is first of all, if you let it explain things to you that you don't understand, then you really know, you get a deeper understanding. And that's something that is totally unprecedented. This has never been, we've never been able to do that before. But also on the other hand, being more critical by then asking it to generate a mock exam for you. Not asking it to solve all questions for you, but letting it just generate a new mock exam so you can benefit from this, basically generating new texts, new things that help you without using it to answer everything for you.
Yeah. I mean, I think you could, like, it all boils down to like making an effort to stay in a mix. Like if you are like replaced and you haven't done nothing about it, like not actively fighting it, you can also not complain about it.
Yes.
Right? So you, but all what you said is about like making an effort, like stay motivated to stay in a mix.
Yes. Of course, not using AI at all is, I don't think, the solution, because then you're not staying very relevant. But at the same time, if you're letting every snippet of code, every email be generated by AI and not really thinking on your own anymore.
Just keep yourself in the loop, right?
Yeah, I agree.